Welcome to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Community Report 75 for Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. This was published on the 29th of March 2023, and it's quite a short report, but it's got a couple of interesting features, so we might as well jump straight in. It says, "Greetings, comrades of the Soviet Republic and fans of our game. The workers and developers in our digital factory have been burning the midnight oil, making progress for our beloved game. We are pouring our hearts into the venture to give you more ways to enjoy the game and make your gaming experience better than ever. Our big news is about the upcoming beta test release. We are thrilled and excited, just like you, dear comrades, because this release signifies a huge leap forward in our journey. As we write this, our digital team is busy testing the game. So far, we are happy to report that no major problems have appeared to delay our plans. That means, comrades, that the dawn of a new game day is on the horizon. Maybe just a week or a few more days, you'll be able to join us with the exciting journey and play the updated game. But remember, it's still a beta version. It is an adventure into fresh territory, and you might find some bugs lurking here and there. But for those courageous players eager to explore the game, we'll soon be ready for you to dive in." I must admit, I am really looking forward to the release of this update into the beta test branch. As soon as it hits, we will be taking a pretty in-depth look at all the new features, and I've already fleshed out a test plan, which I'm not going to go into in this part, but it will be a combination of new gameplay and a little bit of experimentation for any of you who follow the channel. And what I will say is, if there's any specific feature you want me to look at when it hits the beta test branch, feel free to chuck it in the comments in any video, and I will take that on board. So let's just move down. We've got a couple of pictures of trucks, but they've got a small paragraph here. We'll read this first. It says, "Now let us talk about new US vehicles in the game. We added some cool trucks and buses that you might recognize. It is easier to show you pictures than describe them in words. And good news, adding new vehicles is easier than creating new features, so expect more soon." So it looks like they are going to expand our vehicle range. The only downside is you're only able to buy these on a NATO customs office, unless you happen to be lucky enough to have early access to such a customs office. This might be more of a late game addition, but that doesn't detract from the vehicles themselves. Now, looking through this, I do recognize one, but I'm not going to embarrass myself by trying to name them. But I've certainly recognized this truck, which I've used in my current game. Let me just see here. Let's take a look at this one. One of this is a close relation to the yellow low loader that I've been using. It looks pretty cool, actually. I quite like that. I think it gives me more encouragement to actually head for NATO customs offices. The next picture is well, this fire truck I definitely know I've got a mod for that, and it's one of my favorite vehicles because I recognize the ladders and the open back. I think it's a level 10 or a level 12, but I can't remember offhand what it's actually called, but it's quite a nice little fire truck to have. We got a couple of waste trucks here, which are obviously new. And we got quite a nice, cool looking tanker in the background. Again, it looks familiar. And then what we've got is a few buses. They all look a bit similar. So I think maybe this is one bus, but in different colors. I must admit, it's one thing that I do need to possibly get into habit in is if the options available is actually coloring the buses so I can see the lines better in gameplay. Anyway, so we're just going to get down to the next section. It says we have more exciting news. If you turn on maintenance feature, you can buy used vehicles. You can find them in any customs house, and each one will have a different vehicles. This means that you might want to check more customs and see what they have. You might find cheaper vehicles and ones that you never thought to use before. Interesting. This is a new feature. If you look on the right hand panel, I'm aware that the text is very small. But what you'll see, there is a button here which actually says buy used vehicle. So it's a separate functionality from the normal vehicle purchase process. I'm assuming the list, which is on the left hand side here, will be randomly generated. But looking at some of these prices, looks like some of them may actually be delivered with wear and tear. So that's something that you may need to consider, that one of the prices corresponding, but we don't actually have any that side by side. You've got one here with 67% wear and tear, but 24,000 rubles for a diesel train. Now, what I can see from this would be quite useful, say, in the early game, because sometimes when you don't have a lot of cash and you want to buy a train, and it's over 1 million rubles. So if you can get one of these on the cheap, even if it means you first thing you got to do is send it somewhere to get it repaired, I like that idea actually. And the other thing I just want to take a quick look, this has got nothing to do with the report, guys, is I just want to have a look through the customs, because this is the first time I've had a close-up look of a customs house. So it looks very much like you can buy waste if you really wanted it. I'm not exactly sure why you'd want it, because you can buy aluminium scrap, burnable waste. So you could actually, oh, that's interesting. Though 2,000, nearly 3,000, that's 2.19. That could fire a heating plant. Okay, I just don't want to distract you. I just wanted to take a quick look at that. So we'll just move down to the next paragraph. It says, you can also store these used vehicles. That is right, comrades. We have a storage for containers and vehicles. You can even load them onto trains and ships. That means you can move vehicles between islands and bring up used ones from other places. Now that is interesting as well, because what that means is that something that's kind of I've been thinking about when we're planning a new series is that moving vehicles around the map is very painful, especially if you've got a town in the center of the map or a long way away from the customs post. The ability to move the vehicles across the map using, well, I know you can already currently use vehicles because you can do it with a low loader as long as you've got it. But the idea that the fact that we can use trains and ships to move them. So let's just move down to the next paragraph. It says we've also added a new feature you have asked for now, and you can choose which vehicles or containers can be to load. This makes it easier to handle containers. That you can load containers with any certain resource. For vehicles, you do not need to set the types to load, but it will only load ones which work at the target location. So I think this picture here relates to the storage from the previous paragraph. So it says space for vehicles container. So this is a small vehicle store here, and this is a large vehicle store here, which looks pretty good. I mean, 8 vehicles. I mean, it's to me it makes it a lot more practical than what the way I currently store vehicles is by using a depot. So the idea that we can store these here, because if this was connected to a repair base, you could store the vehicles in here and get them repaired before you actually start to use them. That's another option. Anyway, so let's just look down at what they were talking about here. Now, this is a container port. It's got vehicle type selection, boxcar. So the vehicle there, a twin class locomotive. So this is very much like the way that I've set up my distributions for moving railway vehicles around, but it looks like we've got a bit more control over the type that we can select. I do wonder whether that will allow us to move trains and boxcars between distribution offices. That's something that will need to be tested. What we got here is a vehicle selection type, which I'm assuming allows you to choose a car, all types and resources. It says 19 pages here, so this is just an example. I think this is going to need some kind of in-game testing to get the head around that. I mean, the boxcar here is actually highlighted, and that's got food and alcohol stored on it as well. Yeah, definitely think this is going to be a feature that's going to need to be looked at. And then the next one is there's mark model long road vehicle. So it looks like this is a highlight. Yeah, there's the flatbed in the center. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's just highlighted in there. In fact, it looks very much like this one, but it's actually an orangey color. So this flatbed is green. But if we come back to this picture here and click on it, that's the same flatbed, but it's got a kind of yellow or light brown cab on it, and it's got and I'm assuming that this vehicle is the one that's loaded on it, and this is actually a delivery from a production line. This is the top line there. It's actually being delivered to a container store. So obviously the production line is highlighted, which is the panel on the right hand side. What it's actually telling you is what vehicles can be picked up waste fire truck selected vehicle types. So this is actually showing the vehicle that you can pick up and then transfer to the waste location. I really like that because, as I say, at the moment, what happens is when you set up a route like this, and then say you're picking up from the custom shed to send to a location, you've got no control at the moment over what vehicle it picks up and delivers. Although it is quasi intelligent, but you can get some odd results. And then here we got vehicle type selection. So I'm assuming that this could be tied to one of the submenus in this area here as well. Again, as I previously said, I think this is something that's probably going to be make a lot more sense when we actually be able to play with it in game. So we just got a couple of paragraphs to go through, so I'll just read these through. It says, these changes may seem small, but they make a significant difference, especially for containers. Before, containers were mostly used for import, export. Now you can use them more for your own country because you can store different resources in one place and pick up only certain ones for when loading. I must admit, that is a big step forward. It's one of the reasons why, if any of you follow my series, you may be aware that I don't use containers very much, because it's always been that lack of control that's put me off. So that is very, very good news. Then let's just read the final paragraph. It says, that is all the news for this report, comrades. At first, it did not seem like there would be much to share, but as we keep testing, we hope that there will be no big delays. The update is one of our biggest, so there might be some problems. If you find bugs, let me know, and we will work hard to fix them. You can report them in the Steam community forums, where you can talk to others who have had similar issues. Most importantly, remember to enjoy and have fun and wait for your next report. Wow. I agree with the statement. I mean, these do seem like fairly insignificant changes, but again, it's something that changes the gameplay, especially the used vehicles. I'm going to be quite interested to see what comes up on that. I think I might be looking at custom sheds just to see what comes up at random, and if it's refreshed if you buy them, you can move them over there. And as I say, I like the idea of the fact that you have to may have to repair them before they get started because they are used vehicles. But if you can get vehicles at a discount, that would be very, very useful. This about moving vehicles and containers, guys, that is very big. I can tell you from experience. Having that control over which vehicles are sent where and what can be put in containers and where they can be sent is going to be massive. Also, the fact that you're going to have control on sending vehicles by trains and ships, because that's always been a bit of a potluck random event up until now. Anyway, this is where I'm going to leave it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it interesting. Any comments, feedback, feel free to chuck it in the video description. And just to confirm, as soon as this update hits the beta test branch, we will be taking a very substantial in-depth look into all the new features. But until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.